I take the late train a lot. Night classes, study groups, long shifts. Just life. You get used to the rhythm of it. Tired commuters, earbuds in, people quietly checking out for the day. But that night felt different. I noticed him as soon as I sat down. Clean cut, maybe mid-40s, dress shirt tucked into pressed slacks, leather shoes, perfectly shined. He looked like someone's dad coming home from the office. Normal, boring even. But something felt off. No briefcase, no phone, no book, not even a water bottle. Just sitting, perfect posture, hands on his knees, staring straight ahead. He wasn't blinking enough. That's what struck me first. I told myself to relax. Maybe he was meditating, maybe his phone was dead. But every time I glanced at him, he was already looking at me. Not in a creepy, flirty way, not even curious, just watching. Like I was something under glass. A stop passed. Then another. The car emptied a little more each time until it was just me, him, and some kid asleep near the back. When we pulled into my station, I stood up slowly, trying not to seem nervous. I could feel him still watching me. I stepped off the train and heard the doors hiss closed behind me. For a second, I felt stupid for being so paranoid. But then I heard the sound of shoes hitting the platform. Not fast, not slow, just steady. I didn't look back. Instead, I started walking, calm, casual. Turned right at the corner store like always. His footsteps followed, matched mine exactly. I pulled out my phone, pretending to check a text, and glanced in the dark window of the store. His reflection was there, still behind me, still walking. I crossed the street without signaling. So did he. By the time I reached my block, my chest felt tight. I live in a small apartment complex with a tall black gate. I already had my key ready. Thank God. I slipped through and yanked the gate shut behind me. He didn't try to follow, he just stopped. Stood there, a few feet from the gate, hands at his sides, not looking at me anymore. Just standing. I watched him from the upstairs window. He didn't check his watch, didn't look around. He stayed completely still. For over 40 minutes. Then without a word, he walked back the way he came. I didn't sleep that night. I left the lights on, kept the TV running for noise. Next morning, I told myself I imagined it, that I was being dramatic. I even laughed about it on the phone with a friend. But a week later, I heard sirens. It was late again, same kind of night. Cold, quiet. My upstairs neighbor, a nurse who also works night shifts, had been walking home from the station when it happened. She was attacked a block from our building. She managed to fight him off, screamed until someone came outside. The cops took a statement. She described him as calm, silent, strong, clean-cut, mid-40s, dress shirt, and no bag.
My aunt lives alone in a quiet stretch of upstate. Nothing but trees, a long gravel driveway, and a house that looks like it stopped aging in the 90s. When she asked me to house sit while she flew out to see family, I didn't hesitate. She said, "Just take care of Milo. Feed him, let him out. He'll stick close to you. Milo's her golden retriever, old, grey around the mouth, sweet as sugar. From the second I stepped inside, he wouldn't leave my side. If I went to the kitchen, he followed. Bathroom, waited outside the door. At first, I thought it was endearing. That changed fast. First night, I woke up around 3 a.m. I was sleeping in the guest room upstairs. Milo was already awake, standing at the window. Staring, not barking, just trembling. Then I heard static coming from downstairs. I followed the noise. It was the old box TV in the man cave. White noise blasting. I know I hadn't touched it. Milo stayed frozen on the top stair. He wouldn't come down. I turned the volume down, confused. I did notice there were dark shapes in the static. Faint, like shadows shifting behind snow. I turned the TV off and went back to bed. Milo stayed closer to me that night. I could feel his shaky breath. He was tense, even after I unplugged the thing completely. He sat at my feet all night, watching the dark corners of the room. Night 2 was worse. I went to bed with the TV unplugged, triple-checked. However, at 3:13, I woke to the sound of scratching. Not from downstairs. It was from the bedroom window. Milo was under the bed, growling, tail between his legs. I crept to the window and looked out. No branches, nothing even close enough to tap on the glass. Then, the static started. Again, I ran downstairs. TV was on. Volume full blast this time. And it was showing something. A grainy image like an old VHS. It looked like the backyard, same tree line, same layout. But the colors were off. There was someone in the video, standing just past the tree line, not moving, just there, and blurry. Then the tape zoomed in. I didn't want to see what happened next, so I reached to unplug it, but the screen glitched. Fast. A flicker of a face, inches from the glass. I backed up. Milo barked from upstairs, panicked, and then, clear as anything, a whisper came through the speakers. "Mark!" I didn't wait. Whistled for Milo, grabbed my keys, and we bolted out the front door. Drove 15 minutes and parked in the lot of a closed diner. Milo wouldn't stop shaking. He curled up in the passenger seat and put his head on my lap. He didn't move until the sun rose. I slept maybe 20 minutes. When I brought him home, he refused to go inside. Just stood on the porch, tail low, whining. When my aunt got back, she saw how Milo was acting and said quietly, "He was like this last time." I asked her what that meant. She said, "When your Uncle Greg was alive, he used to sit in that room for hours with the TV on. Said he could feel something in the static. I never believed him." Then she looked down at Milo. "But he's always known. He never liked that part of the house." I asked if it ever turned on by itself. She paused, long enough that I knew what the answer was. Then she said, real calm, "Started doing that after Greg died. I just leave it alone now.